The entrepreneurial journey is not a path of steady, peaceful growth. It is a violent, unpredictable storm of constant risk, high-stakes decisions, and intense financial pressure. Every single day, founders, investors, and business leaders wake up to face a barrage of crises, plunging revenues, failed product launches, angry clients, and the terrifying threat of running out of cash. Most entrepreneurs do not fail because their business model is weak. They fail because their minds break under the pressure of financial stress. They fall victim to panic, making desperate, emotional decisions that destroy years of hard work. They stay awake at night, staring at the ceiling, gripped by the fear of bankruptcy, ruin, and public embarrassment. But this fear is a silent killer of strategic thinking. Today, we are going to apply the ancient, battle-tested wisdom of Stoic philosophy to the world of high-stakes business. We will show you how the most successful leaders use Stoic risk management to remain absolutely calm, keeping their heads cold while their financial world is burning. This is how you build a Stoic mind of steel that no financial crisis can ever shatter. Let us begin with Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in the ancient Roman Empire, who was also one of its greatest Stoic philosophers. Seneca was a billionaire advisor to the Emperor Nero, managing massive financial portfolios. Yet he knew that wealth was fragile. At any moment, the emperor could seize his fortune, or a shipping disaster could wipe out his investments. To conquer the crippling fear of financial ruin, Seneca practiced a ruthless Stoic exercise, voluntary poverty. He wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" In modern business, this is the ultimate antidote to financial anxiety. When you voluntarily demystify your worst-case scenario, you strip it of its terrifying power. If you know that you can survive on cheap food, live in a simple apartment, and still retain your intelligence and character, you stop making decisions out of desperation. You negotiate from a position of absolute strength, not fear. You become unbreakable because you have already conquered your fear of losing everything. The second pillar of Stoic risk management is a powerful technique called Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Most modern business coaches tell you to practice positive visualization, to close your eyes and imagine massive success, endless revenue, and standing ovations. But the Stoics knew that this makes you fragile. When you only visualize victory, the first unexpected disaster will crush you. The Stoic entrepreneur practices negative visualization. Every morning, before the market opens, you mentally rehearse every possible failure. You imagine your top client leaving. You imagine your key employee resigning to join a competitor. You imagine your server crashing during a product launch, or a sudden economic downturn wiping out your cash flow. You do not do this to be pessimistic or depressed. You do this to build your defense. By looking directly at potential catastrophes, you remove the element of surprise. When a crisis actually hits, everyone else is screaming and running in circles, but you are completely calm. You say, "Ah, yes, I have already met this scenario in my mind. Here is my plan." This cold-blooded preparation is the difference between a panicked failure and an executive masterclass. In Stoic philosophy, money and fame are classified as preferred indifferents. This is a crucial concept for any business leader. The Stoic does not reject wealth. They appreciate it, enjoy it, and use it to build great things. However, they are completely indifferent to its presence or absence. They do not let their self-worth become tied to their bank account balance or their company's valuation. When your business is booming, you must never allow arrogance or complacency to take over. You must tell yourself, "This is temporary. This wealth is merely on loan from fortune, and it can be reclaimed at any second." Conversely, when your business faces a devastating financial downturn, you must remember that your character, your intelligence, and your honor remain completely untouched. Your cash flow is not your identity. When you separate your personal value from your financial metrics, you unlock a terrifying, unfair advantage.
You can make cold, calculated decisions during a restructuring or a pivot, free from the emotional baggage of shame and panic. You play the game of business with absolute clarity because you are no longer a hostage to the scoreboard.
When the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced a devastating plague that emptied the imperial treasury and crippled the economy, he did not raise taxes on his suffering citizens. Instead, he did something extraordinary. He held a massive public auction in the Forum, selling off the imperial palace's gold, luxury silks, crystals, and even his wife's private jewelry. He used the funds to pay his soldiers and stabilize the empire. This is the ultimate example of the Stoic concept of adaptability and Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. A Stoic entrepreneur does not complain about the market conditions, the unfair regulations, or the bad luck. They love the challenge. When a financial storm hits, they do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "How can I use this to grow stronger?" If your main revenue stream is cut off, it is the fire that forces you to innovate and build a superior product. If your business model becomes obsolete, it is the universe telling you it is time to pivot and conquer a new market. What stands in the way becomes the way. You do not just survive the crisis, you use the heat of the crisis to temper your mental steel. Let us look at the ultimate truth of Stoic business leadership. True power is not about having $1 billion in the bank. True power is having a mind that cannot be bought, cannot be intimidated, and cannot be broken by financial stress. Most founders lose their business because they lose their minds first. They let anxiety cloud their judgment, leading to bad hires, poor strategy, and ultimate collapse. But when you master your internal state, you master your external reality. See financial metrics as data points, not emotional triggers. A negative cash flow statement is not a tragedy. It is simply a mathematical problem that requires a logical solution. When you treat business as a giant, high-stakes game of chess, you stop reacting with anger or fear. You analyze the board, calculate your risks, and move your pieces with absolute, ice-cold precision. You become the anchor of your company, the one calm, unshakable point in a sea of corporate chaos. To lead people in times of extreme stress, a Stoic executive must master the art of emotional insulation. When your employees, investors, or clients look at you, they must see a mountain, not a trembling leaf. If you panic, they will panic. If you show fear, they will abandon ship. Your team's performance is a direct reflection of your emotional frequency. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The mind of a leader must be like a pure, calm spring. Even if a passerby throws dirt into it, the water remains clear, and the mud quickly settles to the bottom." When a crisis occurs, your job is not to join the panic, but to absorb the shock. Translate the chaos into actionable steps. Break the massive threat down into small, manageable tasks for your team. By projecting an aura of absolute Stoic control, you inspire loyalty and courage in everyone around you. You become more than just a boss. You become a shield. Furthermore, we must address the trap of short-term thinking. Under financial pressure, the weak mind acts like an animal trapped in a corner. It lashes out, lies, or cuts corners to survive another day. But a Stoic entrepreneur knows that your reputation is your only permanent asset. If you compromise your integrity, your honesty, or your core values to save a contract, you have committed strategic suicide. Seneca warned that a man who sells his character for gold buys his own ruin. In business, partners may forget a bad quarter, but they will never forget a liar. Let the deal go. Let the project fail if necessary, but never let your character break. A business can be rebuilt from scratch, but once your integrity is shattered, it remains dust forever. Protect your values with the same ferocity that you protect your capital. Tonight, when you review your financial sheets and prepare for the challenges of tomorrow, remember the words of Seneca. A noble mind is free from anxiety. Close your laptop. Step away from the stressful numbers. Realize that you are still alive, your mind is still sharp, and your character is completely intact. You have the power to rebuild, to adapt, and to conquer any financial storm. If you are ready to build an unbreakable Stoic business mind and master the high-stakes game of entrepreneurship, subscribe to the Inner Citadel. Leave a comment below with the words Stoic Founder to show you are ready to lead with absolute calm and power. Stand tall, stay calm, and let the storm pass.